First of all, you may be knowing there's a 5 lakh cash prize which one winner is going to get. Now, beyond that, those of you who are thinking of starting a business, you have an idea and you're wondering, can I start up on my own? The entrepreneurial environment in India, especially in places like Bangalore, Pune, etc., is fantastic. If you have a dream and if you want an advice from somebody, you can really knock up on their door and there's a very good chance they are going to sit you down and give you that advice. So there are these ecosystems built up by Shraddha Sharma, Your Story, there's Plugged In, etc. But beyond that, if you go to any serial entrepreneur or advisor, be assured that they are going to be very approachable, responsive, and helpful, encouraging. However, there is a time when, you can't just work with random calls with advisors. You need a little more structured mentoring, which can really help you with any business plan you're working on. So there are 3 mentoring awards. The first one is called the Startup Super Fuel Award, which is a 6 months of mentoring by 5 Ideas Founders in Heels, extended by Pearl Uppal. She, in fact, started this idea of this mentoring as an award. 6 months of mentoring called Push the Boundary by Seed Fund, extended by Bharti Jacob. 6 months of mentoring by NSR Cell Experience. It's called NSR CL Experience, which is extended by the NSR Cell IIM Bangalore by Guhesh Ramanathan. Which means that one finalist will get 1 6 months mentoring, another will get another 6 months mentoring, and the third one will get another 6 months mentoring. And all these 6 participants will get 5 hours of complimentary legal consulting time from Novo Juris. Now I would request everyone, all the participants, please come on stage, and the audience, please get ready with your questions. While I told you about who is providing the mentoring and the legal consulting awards, the 5 lakh cash award is provided by Intel and the Anita Borg Institute. Okay, first question from the audience, please. You can ask a question either generically or to a specific entrepreneur.
So this question is more like a question plus command for Purnima. I'm sorry I missed the name of the venture because, I was kind of thinking between the amazing ideas. So this is like, do you think that you have thought more about the complete ecosystem? Because we have, let's say, technologies or ecosystems such as Amagi. I'm not sure if you've heard of them.
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, because, while you were presenting, I was thinking that there would be something of that kind which would push us in the direction of localization of the content, because you were talking of, let's say, Chandigarh and what is relevant there. So any comments or thoughts on that?
Yeah, Amagi, my understanding goes is Amagi is spot advertising. Is that correct?
I'm not very sure about what they do, but basically they are more like a hardware. So, their specialization is more on the hardware.
Yeah, so you switch the advertisements based on the location, right? So if Hindustan Lever has to advertise for Lux and some other brand, based on the reach, they would probably, advertise for different products in different locales. Am I correct?
Right.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, I didn't get your...
So my question was more like, do you think that the ecosystem that, the problem that you're trying to solve is a complete package, or whether there is other set of partners that you will possibly need to evaluate?
So any partner that acts as a data point for us is good. So, I feel as far as Amagi is concerned, they could be a customer rather than a partner. Yeah.
Okay.
So, thanks.
Thank you. Next question, please. Yeah. We've got a question there, yeah.
I have a question for Valerie. Is it that? Yeah. My question is... I'm sorry? Oh. My question is, what is the motivation for your consumer to use your product? Because there are so many other mechanisms by which they can get the data, like internet or say Just Dial in India particularly. So what is the motivation for them to use your product?
Yeah, so Just Dial is a directory. Just Dial is a media property itself, where our advertisers who advertise in Just Dial also advertise in print and hoardings and what have you, typically smaller businesses, and they use their zip dial numbers in those other traditional media. The compulsion for the consumer is this is the simplest possible way I could ever respond to this ad. So any single one of our customers, they take the biggest to the smallest, who used to be using, say, some call to action like an SMS or a QR code, gets anywhere from 2 to 50 times more responses to that ad. So the consumer, it's completely toll-free, and it's as simple as dialing numbers, and I can do it, regardless of what language I'm literate in, I can still dial numbers. So that's sort of the insight we had, nearly 3 years ago, and that stuck, and we thought of all of these amazing different use cases and decided, okay, we've thought of about 300 things you could do with Zip Dial. It's time to put a business around that.
Thank you.
Next questions from the audience. Yes, there. Please open up your heart. You can ask simple questions like, how did you start up? How did you manage your kids when you were doing startup? It's not like you have to ask something very specific to what they're doing.
My question is to Arpita. See, I work for a group called Inclusive Growth, and which we develop technology for rural India. So in your business, how are you, you said you have the fitting stores in malls and, the hi-fi malls. But I see the buying power is more in the tier 2 towns. How are you planning to approach
Could you be a
that?
little louder, please?
No, I see the buying power is, more in tier 2 towns. How are you planning to approach that market? I mean,
So
they don't
exactly
have.
why we went online, right? Because our online reach, and which is why we're trying to create a matrix where even women we can't touch, in person. We can give them a kind of experience where, they'll have to answer a lot of questions before they arrive, where we can arrive at what size they wear. So the online model is pretty much that. The other thing is that to scale small 100 square foot space is not going to be difficult, where we will, say in a year and a half, we would be able to set up small fitting rooms, maybe not as many as we'll set up in the urban sectors, but definitely in the tier 2, we would be able to set up small things. The other thing we're looking at is, it's interesting how we do this, is that we want these fitting rooms to sort of become entrepreneur spaces for women. So we'll actually make fitters sort of take ownership for the fitting room. And, it'll be based on a particular model where they will have sort of a group head, but they'll essentially be handling entire fitting rooms themselves with regular training and stuff like that. So that's that would be easy. It'll become, we don't want to franchise it, but we will request people who would want to come forward, women who want to come forward, even with absolutely, like even just a 12th pass, if they want to do something in, fashion and fitting, which we've seen works very well, to kind of come and set them up. So that would be a nice way for us to reach tier 2.
Next question, please. Okay, we have a question from, yes, Bharti here. Acha, after her, please. Next, yeah.
To start for an entrepreneur, you will be getting many risks in the beginning, like what are all the capitals, how I will invest, how will I get the amount to invest on, how you people tackle anyone.
Anyone can take this question.
So I'll answer that question from a personal experience. My father was an entrepreneur, and his business basically wiped him out completely. He lost his house and everything. So there's always going to be a lot of risk involved. The way you need to look at it is that what will be those patterns that you will see, what will you want to achieve? So it's better to have a good idea, but also try and see how risk averse you will be. What will be your risk appetite when you're looking at that whole thing? If you're going to give it your all and say, I don't care about what I'm going to do for the next 5 years because this is what I'm going to do, then do it. And give yourself those 5 years and don't think back that I should now try and find a safe job. The other thing is don't try and do two things at the same time. It's a very bad idea.
If you're going to be an entrepreneur, it's going to take in 24/7 your time. So you have to be able to take that commitment. From a money point of view, I would suggest friends and family because they are the ones who've seen you, they've seen your drive. So get that first level of understanding of the business with the friends and family, and they're not going to be as hard as investors would be on you in terms of returns. So get that before you then go in for more formal rounds of funding.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'd just like to add to what she said because I've done both friends, family, fools, father-in-law, and then investors. And this is my third entrepreneurial this thing. The first one was something to do with dogs. It was called dog.com, which became Oh My God because the second round of funding didn't come through. What happens at the end of it is that if you are an entrepreneur and you want to be there and want to do it, you make everything possible to make it happen. Just because everyone is saying that entrepreneur is cool, don't try and do it. But do it if you really feel that you want to be ahead of everyone and no one actually can control you. That means if you are a rebel, you're surely good to be an entrepreneur. That's the best judgment and everything else will fall in place because you will make so many mistakes, you will learn yourself. No one can teach you, but they can only guide you. So I think the first thing you have to do is observe yourself first, whether you're a rebel, you can do things differently from other people around you, then you can decide whether you have to go for an entrepreneurial effort.
Bharti, you had a question? Oh.
Yeah.
Before that, I think we have another answer.
I just wanted to add a bit more practical point when you're thinking about it. Take whatever your business idea is, there are a laundry list of things that you have to validate to prove that that business is going to work. And focusing on what are the minimum viable things that you can prove and then showcase to people, whether it's your friends, family, and fools, or employees you want to join you, or investors. But breaking it down to first validating, as much as possible, as early as possible, and in as manageable of pieces as possible, to give you that base of having something that where you're minimizing risk and maximizing what you've validated.
And I'm going to add one big thing to that is you have to be passionate about what you do. Because if you're not passionate about what you're trying to take up, you're never going to get deep into it. You're never going to put your hands deep down inside that and say, the subject. So if it's dogs, then yeah, you have to go really, really deep digging to find out what's the problem, where it goes. That's exactly how I started my journey simply because I didn't see anybody doing it, and it hurt that we went by so many years and not had anyone tell us such a big thing about ourselves. So passion, don't get into something just because it's a trend. Get into something because you're passionate about it.
Bharti, your question?
Yeah, I think it's been really privileged to listen to all your presentations and very enriching experience, at least for me personally. My question is related to what this girl asked earlier. Some of you have been corporate executives and then moved on to being an entrepreneur. What are 3 or 4 things that you think are better being an entrepreneur? And what are a couple of big challenges that you faced and how did you overcome that? Thank you.
Yeah, I've worked at the only big company I've ever worked for was eBay for a few years, and then I've always been at two other startups, a first employee alongside the founders, and then a third was kind of not a first, but early in leading a business unit. And for me, it was really a journey of building confidence, and I sort of got this nutty idea as I was finishing my master's that maybe I should not take that job on Wall Street because really I love building products and building businesses. And I had no idea what I was going to do, but I was like, I love building businesses, so let's go try this. And so it was a journey of kind of building confidence in myself to believe that I could actually do this. So really, at the end of the day, it's exactly who I am, and that's the best part of it. I plan to make $1 gazillion for myself and my investors and my employees, but even if that doesn't happen, this is exactly who I am, and this is exactly what I want to be doing with my time. And even being away from home here in India is exactly where I want to be doing it. So that's extremely rewarding. It is also the hardest thing you could ever do in your life. Like, it is extremely stressful. You will have sleepless nights, you will cry, you will be angry. Like, these things happen, but it's also simultaneously the most fun and the most rewarding and the most motivating thing.
I've been in corporates for like 10 years, and all of them have been able to do marketing and, learn from other people's mistakes and make your own mistakes at other people's costs. So my main one thing when we do a lot of entrepreneurial training or mentoring or meeting people or students, one thing we say is that make sure you have enough other business experience out of your own before you start, because that's very important for you to be able to help organize your own thoughts, your own organization, to understand yourself when you are put in different situations, how you react. Because that, when you're doing it with your own business, it can become very expensive, it can tire you down at something called entrepreneurial fatigue, and boredom can come because you're doing too much yourself. But when you have done corporate roles and you've been able to confidently pull off things, when you know that you are not the only person whose head is going to roll, then when you start your own business, that you can see the difference. Because I did a business before I got a job, and I spent the funding in actually taking a posh office in Bombay, in Andheri, and just wiped out I didn't know how to handle money, I didn't know how to handle people. The corporate job gave me the 10 years of understanding and managing people, managing relationships and money from other person's perspective other than yourself. So that's very important. You should have someone else's business experience before you start your own. That's very key if you want to be an entrepreneur, and doing a corporate thing is the best way to do it.
I'll tell the good things about being an entrepreneur. One, I think there's a great sense of ownership, because you start seeing what you've kind of thought about and you're starting to build. So that great sense of ownership never comes even if you're a head of a company. You may be instrumental in the growth that happened in the company, but you're not really owning that company. The second thing is, a lot of people say you will have to give in a lot, but I've actually got more time with my family. Because it's just the sense there's a great amount of understanding from the family that's asking you to take this dream forward. And I think in today's generation, especially when it comes to women, to see a woman succeed where a man may not succeed is a really big high. My husband's in a corporate job, and he keeps telling me I'm his retirement package. So, he earns 10 times more than I do, but he still calls me his retirement package. So I think that's another big high that I would feel. In terms of challenges, I think it is scary, because you've actually said that you will take a huge risk, and especially when you're young. After 40, 45, it's okay, you can kind of retire and do something that you want to do and you were dreaming about, and that's something also I have in mind. These are your so-called productive years, and if this doesn't become productive, there may be a sense of, did I do something wrong, and should I have not done it at all? I mean, I've really lost all those years. So that's a niggling doubt, and that typically happens. I actually still get panic attacks in the middle of the night when I haven't been able to meet numbers, and it's always going to be there. But the whole thing is, the next day when the client says he likes your product, he loves what you're doing, it gives you that reassurance. I think that's the good and bad.
We'll now have one last question and one person to answer from here. Who's asking it?
Here.
Where?
Here.
Acha, there. Yeah.
But unfortunately, I had at least 2 or 3 questions in mind to 3 different people.
Please ask the toughest one.
It's not the toughest one, probably the same question that the panel asked, but a bit of a variation to it, or I was not convinced with the answer. First to Purnima. You said you are using, sorry, not Purnima, Shalini, sorry. Shalini, you said you are using the census data. And prior to that, you said you're also in a position to give the financial status of the people or something like that.
Income pattern, yes.
So does it some way violate the privacy information, or is it just again statistical modeling?
It's a statistical modeling.
And in a country like India, where we only 3% or 4% of us pay income tax, and which is a big issue, where we don't really actually give the actual returns or the annual earnings.
Yeah.
How do you actually address this problem, or how accurate is your data?
So we look at, so when you look at the information pattern and the kind of model that we've built, is that it actually looks at the area that you're living in.
Okay.
Right? So when you're looking at living, you know that the number of households that live in this particular area, I'm just giving you an example for the income pattern. So when you look at the number of people that are living in that area, you know what kind of rent you would typically pay.
Okay.
Right? Or if you had to own that house, what you would also do. Right? So that's one piece of information that I use over here. The second piece of information that I would start looking at would be what is the occupation and the education level of that person. You typically can build a very strong correlation between an education level and in terms of in terms of occupation of what you have to be able to come up with an income pattern. And you have to remember, it's not, I would say that you earn 29,392. I would say that you would be in the income bracket of 2 lakh to 5 lakh. So it can be that wide. But it basically says that a person or a household that earns within that particular income pattern will have a certain lifestyle. And that has been held true. So that's how you look at data intelligently. It's not more about accuracy, but it's about looking at it intelligently.
Thanks. It was very clear.
Thank you.
Now to Arpita, right?
There was only time for
this is a very important question.
Okay.
Again, this was posed by the panelists. See, this is a huge problem actually. When I saw your presentation, you said 6,000 hits. Are you referring to visits or hits?
I'm referring to unique visitors to the site.
Okay, please don't use hits.
Okay,
It's a
my
very
bad.
outdated terminology. And you said a conversion of 60, if I'm right, 60 orders.
80 orders actually.
Probably 80 orders. And you answered that your back-end ordering system or the manufacturer is tied to it, and the moment he gets the order, he starts.
So there are two different things. That will happen when we launch our own brand. We haven't launched our own brand yet. Right now we keep an inventory of the two brands that we showcase, Chantel and Passionetta. So right now we work with them. We keep our internal inventory and we understand what sizes are going down and pre-order what needs to be done. But when we do scale and when we do our own label, that's when we do an integration with the manufacturers. But they don't sell us 1 piece, 2 piece, 10 pieces. They will send us a consolidated of every 2-3 months. We will replenish stocks of certain sizes because we know for a fact those sizes will sell out faster. So that's what we meant when the inventory management integration we were talking about.
Because the key challenge in e-commerce currently, or why Flipkart is very successful, is about the logistics part. So if you are going to get 60,000 orders on a day, would you be in a position to handle them?
So the reason why we want to grow slow and the reason why we want to be, do an organic growth for a bit is because we want to refine our model so well that to replicate it and then scale it will be much easier. Which is why I'm not looking at, like e-com is looking for major funding, I'm not looking for major funding, I'm looking at small funding so that I can refine that process so well that when I scale it, I won't have those hiccups like most other e-com people have had.
Thanks, Arpita. Thank you so much. The decision is made. Dil dhak dhak. Okay. Let me invite Jagrati Bika, who is the director of the Grace Hopper Celebration India. So, Jagrati, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I'd like to say, I thought I was loud enough. Well, it's not as loud as the train, but this 3 days has been fantastic. First, we started with hackathon, 2 amazing days of conference with lots of learning, networking, and amazing positive energy. And we are closing with this WEQ, our 2nd annual signature event for the GHC India conference. I'd like to invite the team that's behind all the work that has been, you've seen, mentoring these 6 amazing women, going through 63 entries. Last year we had 18. This year we had 63 entries, managing judges, but virtually managing the whole thing. So Manish, Shruti, Shilpa, and Padmaja. Please give them a huge round of applause. This could not have been possible without them. Thank you, guys. And I guess at this point, we would, I'm going to give it back to her.
Thank you. So, Jagrati, I'd request you to present The first award, which every one of you are a winner, right? So you get the Novo Juris 5-hour legal consulting. So Arpita Ganesh, Buttercups, and the moment. And yeah, E-Form, Srivalli Krishnan. Sorry. Okay, probably I'd ask you to step forward. Zip Dial, Valerie Wagner. Brand Idea, Shalini Pillai. Radix Livescapes, Chitra Rajan. And Purnima from Gupshup.tv. Purnima from Gupshup.tv. Okay. I'd request Pearl Uppal to please come to the stage for the next award. So Pearl Uppal has chosen one of the entrepreneurs to provide the 6 months mentoring. So the winner of this mentoring is Arpita of Buttercups. I'd request Bharti Jacob, thank you so much. Bharti Jacob, please come on stage. So Bharti Jacob has selected one of you for the 6 months mentoring from her end. And the winner of this mentoring is Radix Landscapes, Chitra Raj. Live Space, I'm so sorry. Thank you. I request Guhesh to be please on the stage. Yes, thank you. Thank you. He saved us a lot of time. And the winner of this award is Gupshup.tv. Purnima. Jagrati, would you please invite for the final finale?
So at this point, I would like to invite up to the podium, the stage, Jitendra from Intel and Dr. Tully Whitney from Anita Borg Institute to present the final award of 5 lakh rupees to our winner.
Okay. This is when WEQ takes the IPL turn. We have those big checks, which was not there last time. It was just an envelope. Okay. All right. So, all ready? All ready? Okay. So the grand winner is Shalini from Brand Idea.
Congratulations, Shalini. The stage is yours.
I haven't prepared a 4-minute pitch.
She hasn't prepared an Oscar-winning speech. That comes next, right?
I'm actually, thank you very much. It's No, I'm actually floored. And these women are absolutely amazing. I think what she's trying to do has been path-breaking, and I just solved a simple problem, but she's going to try and solve world's issues. So hats off to you, Chitra, really. I was simply amazed. And everybody else. I mean, I'm going to be a customer of Buttercups also. I mean, I think when I think of women entrepreneurship, I never really thought of it as women entrepreneurship. I just thought of entrepreneurship, and I think this is the first platform that I actually thought of a gender difference. And It's been fascinating. I've been part of many fundraising rounds, and typically you do see the people that keep coming, and there aren't too many women that are actually taking up this. So if you have an idea, and if passion is something that you have to do something, I think you should just do it. And I think this platform over here has helped me almost be a testament to what I'm doing today. So thank you so much for putting your faith in me. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'm going to invite Jitendra, who's from Intel, to say a few things if he would like to. He was hesitating. And somebody from the audience said, no, you must say something. See, at this point, I can say anything I want. Conference is over. There you go, Jitendra.
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is tough. I am between your drinks or dinner, whatever is going to happen. So I'll be short. First of all, yes, I was shy to come in. People who know me, I'm not a stage person. But first of all, I want to say, Intel has been very proud to be really associated with this, and especially with this celebration here. And congratulations, guys. You guys did an awesome job. I'm going as an educated person today. I know why I should now help in the garbage distribution, or maybe I'll impress my wife with the buttercups thing. And a few others, I know how the supply chain should work in the farming. But thank you. Since I have the mic now, you guys have to stay 2 more minutes maybe. I was listening, I came like 1.5 hours back, and I was listening to some data people had on entrepreneurs and how the women entrepreneurship, that percentages were really low, and so on and so forth. I respect that data. I'm not going to challenge here. People are going to beat me up. But my personal experience has been a little different. So I thought I'll at least share, when I was sitting there, I thought I'll share my personal experience with women entrepreneurship and what I have seen with women in my life, or with women in life around me. So 3 things have happened in my life because of the women in my life. Number 1, I became an angel investor. So apart from my Intel job, I became an angel investor because of a woman in my life. I got an opportunity to work in a small company, a small kind of a startup because of a woman in my life. And then I saved a lot of money because of few women in my life. And I'll tell you how that happened. And by the way, my boss is a woman. She's a VP at Intel, and she's a woman too. But 3 years back, my wife was a principal engineer with one of the tech companies I won't name. And she decided, she'll quit the job, and she became a freelance photographer. And I became a forced angel investor. Great thing to happen for anybody where you start with angel investing in the family itself. I'm very proud to be knowing one woman entrepreneur, or actually I'm the proud the other way, that the woman knows me, and then that's my grandmother. I grew up in a family where, we had cows and buffaloes, and because she used to sell milk, and she used to make cow dung cups, and I was doing the trading for her for many years. Then I saw she was stitching for all of our neighborhood. And I know my uncles were getting so embarrassed, because whenever a lady would come to our house, she would check the whole dress to check the pattern so that she can stitch for somebody next time. And so on and so forth. So I saw all those entrepreneurships happening, with my grandmom. Just last night I was having a dinner with her in Pune, and she was telling me why I should move to Pune, because living with her would be much more cheaper for me and I can save some money. The third one, now I've saved a lot of money, because every time I had an idea and I wanted to venture out some idea, I've checked it with my wife. And believe me, she has rejected all the ideas. Till now, I've had 4, she has rejected all 4. And I can tell you, other people who have tried those ideas, maybe they did not check with their wives or women. And they failed miserably on those ideas too. So I think I've saved a lot of money with that. So if you are a woman entrepreneur, please check your idea with the woman. If you are a man and an entrepreneur, please check your idea with a woman.
Thank you.
Believe me, you guys will save a lot of money, a lot of time. So with that personal story, I want to say enjoy the evening. Thanks a lot, and we are very proud to be part of this. Thanks.
Thank you. There is food, lots of food in the back, and if judges would like, they can honor us with their presence on the stage so we can get a group picture. Yeah? Yes, and thank you, Sangeeta, for being our MC of the evening. And we're going to hold you to that role next year. All right. Thank you. Please come up.
So we're just going to take a quick group photo and the entrepreneurs are going to be down. So if you have any question for them, please corner them and go ahead around dinner.
Like, no.